Fly home, buddy. I work alone.
It was a beautiful day in the Mushroom Kingdom, in a not-so-beautiful town called Rogueport. No one quite knew why Mario would venture into this town. Most would assume that he was on business with Princess Peach. Anyone else, though, would probably think that he's just really high. But as the player, allow me to be the one to tell you that I don't care about any of that. This is Paper Mario with only Mario in battle. So yeah, Mario is just really high, and everyone he gets nearby just passes out because his breath stinks. Unlike all of our partners, we have Mario at the very beginning of the game. As such, we fight every boss, including Lord Crump. Yeah, that's subtle. Like a crumpled ball of paper. I am not gonna bore you with these puns. Anyway, after we win this battle, you may have noticed that Goombella is already panting for her life as if she's already really tired, despite the fact that we haven't even recruited her as a partner yet. The long and short of it, to make sure I only have access to Mario for every battle, I use the cheat code so that all partners have 0 HP at max at all times. This means that enemies will always be targeting Mario. After all, he's the only character we're allowed to use, which is also the first rule of this challenge. Once we reach the 1000-year door for the first time with our magical map in tow, we gain the special move Sweet Treat. This move for only 1 star power allows you to restore HP and FP. It's a fantastic, almost essential move for any challenge you do with Mario Aloud, and I'll explain why later. We were also gifted the badge Power Smash from Professor Frankly, and this is the first run where we actually get to use badges that only Mario can equip. Power Smash takes your standard hammer and allows you to do 2 extra damage with 1 hit. And it's thanks to this badge and Sweet Treat that we're able to completely obliterate Gus. 5 Power Smashes do him in, and we also can heal our FP at will using our Sweet Treat ability. It is by no means a hard fight, and we finish it in record time. For future reference, any optional bosses I can fight, I will try to fight, but I will not try to fight any random enemies in this challenge at all. I'm curious, if we were to fight all the bosses in this game, what's the absolute minimum level we'll finish the game at? And besides, it makes for a more entertaining video for you because I actually have to think about what I actually level up and how I use my badges, so it's a win-win. I can't just grind to like level 99 and just swamp everything. Anyhow, we now have to fight Blooper, and I only have 4 HP to start, but that really does not matter. So while this fight goes on, allow me to explain Sweet Treat to you all. Ordinarily, Sweet Treat can restore up to 7 HP to both Mario and his partner. However, with Mario's partner being completely inactive for every battle, the would-be partner HP is instead now Mario's HP, meaning if you were able to hit every single heart, you could restore as much as a whopping 14 HP to Mario with 1 move. You can also restore as much as 8 FP, which is not a small number. And being able to choose how much HP you restore means you can use this for a lot of tactical options later in the game. Absolute godsend of a move to heal yourself with. And after a quick beatdown, we leave this Calamity in the desert. And if you're wondering why I did not just use my Fire Flower to make this fight go by faster, or I am not using Super Guards, I am playing by Scaven's rules, so no ZT, and I cannot buy any items from shops. That includes Charlatan. Badges, however, are allowed. As for Super Guards, they just make the game too easy for me. I would just much rather win by using good strategy. I'd say skill, but we all already know that luck is a skill, and I'm already extremely lucky. So for the sake of humility, I'm not gonna flex on you all. At least not yet. Now being this is the first chapter, you think it'd be pretty dang easy compared to the rest of the run. After all, the adventure just started, so of course the game would be easy on us. Buckle up, boys and girls, this run's finna get gnarly. On the way to Schwank Fortress, we have to fight both Ball Clefs and Bristles. Ball Clefs have 2 HP and 2 defense, too much for your standard hammer, but Power Smash allows you to break right through and knock them out in 1 shot. Unfortunately, not only do Bristles have 4 defense total, but their spikes will poke out at you if you get too close to them. So this is a fight that requires a Power Block, which we, fortuitously, have access to 2 of them for free just outside of their respective battles. The next notable obstacle is Gold Fuzzy. I already used 2 Fire Flowers to easily get myself the Sun and Moonstone, so let's just move on to the boss of this area. I mean, he's no Hooktail, but he is the boss of Schwank Fortress because these Fuzzies look up to Gold Fuzzy as their leader. Did I have to explain that? No, not really, but I'm not very good at forming conversations. After that spell of self-loathing, we show this Golden Fuzzy he's a real fool. He only has 10 HP, that's less than Blooper, and beating the Gold Fuzzy makes the entire horde run away. It almost makes me wonder why they even bother having the horde if you don't have to fight it to beat it. But hey, easy boss is easy. And now that we're heading back to Petalburg with my Sun and Moonstone in tow, I just realized something. Well, do you see it? Well, all we need now is a reptile to use the sunstone on. We can get ourselves an evolved Pokemon. Oh shoot, it's Helioptile! Koopas are reptiles, right? Actually, are turtles reptiles, or I'm just stupid? Huh. I guess I'm better at biology than I thought. Red Bones are a power jump and fire flower away from tasting death the second time, and now we are ready for Hooktail. Oh, what's that? You thought we were gonna use Attack Effect SAR? Nah. Prior to this fight, I actually got myself power jump for the Red Bones as well as Last Stand for Mario. Trust me, we are going to need both of those badges to survive in this fight with Hooktail. Especially Last Stand, as that allows us to get one extra turn to attack after we heal ourselves to max HP. There were some stage hazards that threatened to drop me into a fatal HP value, but good guarding kept me alive. Things were more dicey in phase 2, but not out of my realm of control. I basically got the worst possible RNG, but I had just enough mushrooms to survive the fight while keeping my life stream intact. Good thing too, because I had no more star power, and with all your audience, you can't get any star power back. It's almost like trying to grow a YouTube channel, whereas if I don't have my audience, that being you, I am nothing myself. Man, Nintendo was ahead of its time. This victory wins us the Diamond Star, enabling us to use the move Earth Tremor. Oh yeah, and Koopley reunites with Heliolisk, I guess. Without further ado, let's begin Chapter 2. A fight where I must admit, I had no idea how to fight them, and it really shows. So the Shadow Sirens. I went in with the mentality of attacking Marilyn first, trying to knock her out early because she does the most damage. Big blunder! I should have actually attacked Beldum first, but that's not all. I also went into this fight with Multi-Bounce, a move I almost never even bothered to use. When in reality, Power Jump would be much more effective here, as I could Power Jump Beldum and then Earth Chamber to knock her out early. Had I done that, she wouldn't be able to force her sisters to use their magic attacks, which cannot be guarded at all. And as a result of this fight became a massive stall fest of just spamming Sweet Tree to stay alive. Not my proudest moment. If not for some quick thinking and exploiting the fact that Marilyn was able to do just enough damage to drop me into peril, this fight could easily have went to the Shadow Sirens. We were only barely able to survive thanks to the Mega Rush from Charlatan in Rogueport. It was go big or go home, and we went big. It was around this time I took the opportunity to set up a save file for Miss Mouse only, which I did shortly after I actually finished the Shadow Sirens fight. And if you're interested in that or any of the other partner only videos I've done, be sure to check them out after this video is over. But for now, please watch this video to the very end. I need all the watch time I can get. And if you don't, at least leave a... Oh. Right. Oh yeah, Magnus was not a threat whatsoever. I started the battle in peril, had damage not equipped to Mario, and the battle was won in 3 turns. Thanks to Mega Rush, this boss fight was even easier than Hooktail was. Even with this victory, I'm kinda worried that my low level will bite me in the butt later on. Fortunately, Chapter 3 is very kind to us. There are a lot of regular enemies to fight, and they're all required, so we have no choice but to level up. And aside from the occasional grubba condition, none of them really forced me to reset either. Unfortunately, the Ironclads continue to plague our challenge as we are completely unable to win this fight without Yoshi. And yeah, there's really nothing I can do about it. I have used this exception for literally every partner only challenge I've done from Goombella to Miss Mouse. Except for, well, Yoshi of course. And yes, I named him Donald Trump because with him as our president, it was a really funny time to be alive.
Look at my African American over here.
Bowser then ambushed me as I finished the fight with the Magic Group of Masters with only 1 HP left, so predictably I miraculously win as I managed to knock him out in a single turn with Power Bounce, Mega Rush, and Power Plus. Come on now, didn't you know that wrestling was scripted? Mario always wins against Bowser. But it's still real to... well, not me, but it is to Chaotic Meatball at least. Now, if I really cared about wrestling, I just asked my mom how I was born. There's really nothing of note left in the glitch bit up until Rock Hawk, but that's only because he's technically a boss fight. And yeah, this fight was free. All I really did was just manipulate my HP to fall into peril by attacking him twice, let him drop me to 1 HP, and then a Power Bounce with Mega Rush and some other attack up badges allowing me to finish him off in like 1 more turn. And since I only had 1 HP after that fight, Monster Grabber was even easier. His first turn, he will always use his Time 2 status boost. 2 Power Bounces later, and I win. It's only now I realize I never explained what Power Bounce is or what it does as a move. But for those of you who have played Paper Mario before, you already know this is one of the best moves in the game. Power Bounce is an attack that allows you to jump continuously on one enemy until you miss an action command. And the damage takes your base attack power, adds up whatever attack bonuses you have, and then goes down by 1 every time you bounce at an enemy. Starting from 8, you then go to 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, so on and so forth. That's a minimum 30 damage, and 2 times 30 is 60, which is Macho Grubba's max HP. This fight was easy. And from chapter 4 and onward, that's only going to become even more true as the game goes on. As you'd already expect, Dupless is not a threat whatsoever. And through teaching this bully a lesson, he takes our friends away who we never use in battle regardless. So how about that atomic boo, right? Well, this fight was definitely dangerous, but it wasn't really that bad for us either. This boss has always been able to threaten me with immobilization, but it never actually went for it. Really, all the boss did was spam charge moves, and we slowly but surely managed to whittle his HP down. And of course, Sweet Treat was invaluable here. So without wasting too much time, let's talk about the second battle with Dupless and our partners. I decided it'd only be fair if I fought all of my partners alongside Dupless because this would be the most screen time they'd ever actually get in battle. And it's here I learned something interesting. Because of the code I used to minimize my partner's HP to only be at 0, they all went down in one hit. For Goombella, I would have one-shot her anyway, but Coop struck me as odd because I only did 9 damage and he has a max of 10 HP. And it was only at Flurry where I fully realized this because I did not do nearly 15 damage to her and she went down in one hit. I thought that I did the same with Yoshi, but I didn't because I needed Donald Trump for the Iron Clef, so that was a mistake too. But yeah, there goes Dupless, and yeah, he really wasn't a threat whatsoever. Even less so when his partners can't take a hit. It's high tide in chapter 5, and Cortez is the next boss we fight. But once again, this boss fight is nothing special whatsoever. 1 HP, Mega Rush, Power Plus. Once I found the peril, I just had to use Spin Jump, and each and every phase of Cortez was knocked out in one turn. The fact this boss has only 20 HP per his 3 phases, and you get to attack immediately at the start of each phase, makes this fight absolutely pathetic. It really makes me wish that more fights were designed like the Lord Crump fight immediately after this one, where even if you were able to finish the fight's first phase, it would immediately go to Lord Crump's turn if you don't have any other moves left on your side of the field. Otherwise, this fight is completely broken. Speaking of Lord Crump and the Cross-Knots, their damage output is really not enough to outpace my healing ability with Sweet Treat. In the first phase, I was just playing solidly and I survived. In the second phase, however, I manipulate my HP to Peril once again thanks to Sweet Treat, and with the damage I did prior, one more Spin Jump does 22 damage, knocking him out from like, what, 20 HP or something? What can I say, Peril status is OP. And then what's waiting for me in chapter 6? Smorg? Please. I have Power Lift, which I have only now decided to use. Power Lift is a little like Whack-A-Mole. Wait for attack up and defense up arrows to appear, and whack 'em. For every 5 attack up arrows you get, your attack goes up by 1. For blue, it's defense. I got +4 attack and +2 defense, was left waiting for Smorg to attack me, drop me into peril, and for lack of a better word, hell was broken loose. I then just used a Thunder Rage to knock out all the Miasmas in one turn, and then Power Bounce to knock out Smorg in one more turn after that. Consider these vermin terminated. I'm the Verminator, baby! Just one more Crystal Star to go, and it's chapter 7. And now for a confession. I made a mistake in my first fight with Magnus 2. Yes, I said first. In checking my math, I forgot I had Power Rush equipped, and I ended up doing too much damage to Magnus on the first 2 turns, and I ended up prompting him to use his X punches. That was my one and only turn to not have to worry about attacking, and as a result, even after clearing the X punches with Earth Tremor, and then using Power Bounce after I got the 1 HP left, I was basically dead in the water, as I was then hit by the audience cannon and knocked out. Oopsie. On my next attempt though, I got 4 hit power bounces at 10 damage starting apiece, and I won this fight in just 4 turns. Yeah, not so big and strong now, huh? Just gotta stick with the plan, and unfortunately, I don't have much of a plan going forward in Chapter 8. So yeah, this should be interesting, but hey, let's go ahead and see how we do. Chapter 8 has 5 bosses, 6 if you count Dark Bones, but I really don't. A combination of Supernova and something like a Power Jump or Earth Tremor would be enough to win this fight in 2 turns guaranteed. Honestly, I was a lot more worried about Gloomtail. 80 HP is a lot, especially when backed up by 2 defense. And so this fight involved a bit of trial and error. I quickly found out that 10 HP would not be enough, as even with P up D down, instantly falling into peril would not give me enough damage to knock out Gloomtail in 1 turn. And I need to get damage prior, as I can't do enough even with Power Lift and having myself in peril ahead of time. The play to win the game ended up being that I would have to instead give Mario both his danger badges, but also 15 HP max, so he can attack Gloomtail once, take himself to 8 HP left, and that alone may not be enough to drop him into peril, but he does have enough HP to safely use any other move before Gloomtail hits him one more time, and then drop him to 1 HP. So the second turn, I used Power Lift to get myself a bunch of extra attack ups, and the combination of attack up bonuses from being in peril as well as having Power Lift active, coupled with the prior damage I was able to net by having Mario with more HP to survive for longer, meant that I was able to give Gloomtail a proper burial. This gives way to the Shadow Sirens, and it was not really easy to find a consistent strategy for this fight, and well, I don't even try. Instead I use Double Dip using 2 items with only 1 turn, and I just leave it up to luck. Now the absolute best case is that all 3 of them lose their turns, but the worst that I am able to accept is that I at least get both Dupless and Beldum. Both of those 2 are guaranteed to attack turn 1, but not Marilyn. She actually might choose to charge, and if she does, I can just knock her out immediately afterwards as I'm already in peril. This just so happened to happen on my second attempt, and 1 power bounce per siren ends their games. We finally hit the home stretch, and we have a couple more bosses to go. So when I hear a couple, I think 2, it's actually 3 left to go. Or 4, I guess there's also Bowser and Cammy. Are they a couple? You know what, let's not think about that right now. So next up is Grotus, and this is a boss that has always been really problematic for solo runs because you can only attack once, and he's always summoning more Grotus X's every turn. Nevertheless, I had a plan. The way my star points are set up, I'm not going to level up after this fight, which actually ends up working out for later, and you'll see why soon enough. For now though, I have just enough HP, whereas after I get hit by Grotus' first attack, I will fall into peril, and my 1 attack is going to knock him out from 45 HP to 0. So I doubled up a shooting star and a Thunder Rage, but before I could finish him off, I get hit by a bucket, which I was not anticipating and I missed the guard for. It left me dizzy, and I feel like I just did not care enough to try guarding because I missed the guard immediately after that and reset because it was not worth trying anymore. On the next attempt though, it works perfectly, and I'm able to beat Grotus in record time. So that takes us out of the frying pan and right into the fire. We're now dealing with Bowser and Kammy Koopa, but you know, that seems kind of unfair. Really now, 2 versus 1, let's even the odds. So I lunge for Kammy Koopa, knocking her out in 1 turn. Sure, after that Bowser's able to finish me off, but I have a life shroom, and now that I've used it, it is now a level playing field. Mario versus Bowser, your battle will be legendary. Well, as legendary as it could be if you just spam power balance over and over again. It turns out that 70 HP doesn't really last very long when you have no healing to go along with it. And Bowser by a long shot is a lot weaker than Gloomtail, so yeah, he really was not much of a threat without Kammy Koopa by his side. With Bowser eliminated, that just leaves 1 more boss to go. And I'm certain it's also the moment you've all been waiting for. I packed my sack full of items into Palace of Shadow and was ready for the Shadow Queen. Now I have 20 max HP, but I'm starting this fight with only 5. Some prior damage here, some para manipulation there, and we're able to get to phase 2 with no issues. In phase 2, I doubled up a boost sheet on Mario to protect him for the next 2 turns so I don't have to use any life shrooms, and a tech item to forward the fight, and before we know it, the true battle is finally about to begin after a whole bunch of cutscenes. Count your lucky stars if I'm skipping this for you. The eternal dilemma here is just trying to figure out how am I gonna get into peril. As it turns out, it ended up being easier than I expected, but the fact that it happened this early in the fight unfortunately meant that I was not ready to close it out yet. In hindsight, using a boost sheet near the beginning of the fight when I managed to get in the peril early would probably have been a really good idea, but I didn't really think to do that. A blunder only amplified by the fact that I was never able to find the chance to use my point swap to get into peril later in the fight. It was rocky. We just had a lot of issues trying to survive because of how my HP wasn't that high. And over time, the Shadow Queen just kept healing more and more HP by stealing my own and adding it to hers. I was just not able to keep up. And so my first attempt ended in failure. But my second attempt, things ended up being a little bit better. The most I did come phase 3 was just try to play really solid, but unfortunately, I was still unable to find the chance to get into peril. But this time around, the game had different plans, as my HP wasn't quite at 1, it was actually at 3 after 1 turn, but then the audience started throwing rocks at me, and other hazardous stuff that just dragged my HP down even lower. One audience member fell me to 2, another one fell me to 1, and wouldn't you know it, that ended up being exactly what I needed, and I was able to finish the Shadow Queen off, ending this run at level 12. You see, YouTube, you don't have to get rid of dislikes, they're a great thing. If not for the dislikes my audience gave me in this game, I probably would have lost again. And that, my friends, is the story on how Nintendo learned the value of constructive criticism. And I have a list of every other solo run I've done in this game using only one partner for every battle, so feel free to watch that. Oh yeah, maybe subscribe.